Nick, just tell us about yourself, please.
Yep, sure. Nothing special. Kid who grew up on a council estate. Didn't go to university. Had lots of jobs. Been self-employed for quite a bit. And then fell into a career. And that was about 20 years ago. I got a job at Manchester Council, working with young people, stopping them getting involved in crime. And I excelled at it because I probably was one of those young people when I was a kid, just on the edges of criminality, making poor decisions, no role models at home, no father figure. Um, and that led me down that path of crime reduction. Promoted a few times, ended up running Manchester City Centre in terms of reducing crime and antisocial behaviour, which was a big job. Then was my team was made redundant in 2011. So I took redundancy and set up a charity to carry on that work, working with young people on the streets. And then we created a new project from that, working with rough sleepers in the city centre, getting them into accommodation. And then my life sort of changed 3 years ago with Black Lives Matter. Most people know me for that. I wrote a blog criticising the organisation, was accused of being a racist and a Nazi, was sacked from the charity I founded, mounted a fight back, a successful fight back, got my job back, got the charity back, made the board of trustees resign in disgrace. And then ever since then, I've been a campaigner for free speech. And then I started to dip my toe into politics, hence why I'm now standing for Mayor of Greater Manchester next year.
When you say you dipped your toe into politics, didn't you just fall head first into politics with well, any kind of criticism, Black Lives Matter, or dealing with any subject like that?
Yes, I mean, that's all politics. But then I went into trying to be a politician.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a little bit of a difference there.
Yeah. When that happened, when you were effectively cancelled, this was from your own charity, and this is the
Yes.
charity that you formed yourself.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
Devastating. For the first week, I was a broken man. My life was over. My reputation was in tatters. Personal friends had turned against me and sacked me from my charity. It felt like the world was against me. I had so many people online calling for my sacking, happy that I'd been sacked, signing petitions to have me fired. And this was all new to me. If you'd have told me before that something like that could have happened to me, I'd have laughed in your face. Can't
Mm.
happen to me. And then if you'd have said I'd have fallen apart, I'd have laughed again at you, thinking, you no idea who I am. Do you know how tough I am? My
Mm.
life, what I've gone through, what I've overcome. I'm tougher than hurty words online, but I wasn't as tough as I thought to begin with. But then your inner strength comes through, your inner courage comes through, and you say to yourself, I'm not having this. This is extremely unfair. This is this is unjust. So then through my cowardice for that first week, I then found my real courage. It's changed me as a person, actually.
And this sacking, this cancellation came from from what sounds to me like quite a small sample um, of people making a complaint, relatively
Yeah,
speaking.
yeah. It was 450 people signed an online petition to have me fired. That sounded a lot at the time, but when I mounted my fight back, we had 18,000 people sign a petition to have me reinstated. So that puts into some sort of context. But at the time, 450 people sounded a lot of people to me.
In fact, interestingly, I mean, 450 people on an online petition about something that is considered to be quite as emotive as
Yeah.
that. It's actually surprising. You would have thought there'd be more, knowing perhaps what you know now, and our experience of online petitions and pressure groups and so on and so forth. You would think that there would be many more signatures. Perhaps
Mm.
you were considered to be sort of small fry. There were plenty of sort of bigger fish to be cancelled at that time.
I think it's more likely my background that
Mm.
stops more people jumping on the bandwagon. It's very hard to criticise someone as a racist and a Nazi who spent 20 years working in diverse neighbourhoods, working with young people from every background, every religion. It's hard to accuse someone of being a Nazi when they use their own redundancy money to set up a charity to help other people. So I had, some luck on my side.
Yeah.
If I'd have been a banker, then everyone hates bankers. I'd have been vilified straight away. If I'd have been, a businessman or self-employed millionaire, the socialists all would have jumped on board. He's an evil capitalist as well. But they found it very hard to pinpoint what I'd done wrong. Nobody online, I asked these questions at the time, no one online could pinpoint what I did wrong and what I said wrong. What it really was about was I was accused of writing while white. That was my crime. Because I was commenting on a black organisation, that was my crime. The article I wrote on Black Lives Matter, well, even when I read it now, I think was extremely fair. I commented on what they wrote on their website, not a conspiracy theory website, not someone else's website, their own website.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the first half of the article. And the second half of the article, I talk about how we're being divided as a nation and we need to come together. Black and white should come together. Muslim Christians need to come together. Gays and straights need to come together. We need to find common ground. We need to build community and society. And that was the second half of the blog. No one could point to anything I said that they disagreed with. It was, how dare you as a white man comment on a black organisation?
It's difficult to navigate when you are effectively supposed to remain silent when things about you happen. It rather begs the question whether we should be commenting about any of these things for fear of being cancelled.
Everybody should be commenting on everything and should have no fear of being cancelled. That's how we deal with bullies. That's how we deal with cancel culture. They can't cancel everybody. So the only cancel, I wasn't brave doing what I did. I was ignorant. I had no idea the blog I wrote would cause any waves whatsoever. So I didn't do this trying to be brave. But some people are brave and some people do stick their head above the parapet. And that's what I do now. I purposely don't avoid any subjects now. I will talk about everything. I'm a lot more forceful now than I was 3 years ago in my writing and in my opinions. So, my philosophy is now, come and have a go if you think you're hard enough, because I'm uncancelable now.
Mm-hmm.
I've shown people how you beat cancel culture. No one ever comes for me anymore now, because once I mounted my fight back, all the online bullies all disappeared overnight. Once I beat the board of trustees and they all resigned in disgrace, no one has ever come for me ever again. And that's because bullies realise now I won't be bullied. And there's a consequence to being a bully. It means you can be bullied. So bullies just go away and look for someone weaker. And the lesson from my experience would be, don't allow people to bully you. Don't be a martyr. Don't be controversial for the sake of being controversial and lose your job. Well, that achieves nothing. But when you know this is true, when you want to speak your mind, do it in a professional, polite way. And then you're not a coward. I wrote a whole book on this called Lessons in Courage, available on Amazon. And it's about what happened to me. That's the first chapter, which everyone knows now. I'm sick of talking about it. But then it's also about how I fought back and where did my inner courage and strength come from? And it came from all my past experiences. And everybody has those experiences. There'll be different experiences, but everybody has overcome many things in their lives. And it's about realizing that and tapping into that strength and then using that to fight the bullies. We all can do it.
Well, unfortunately, not everybody's so strong. Although we might all have opinions, we might not necessarily be as strong as yourself to be able to express those opinions, certainly in public. I mean, you mentioned the fact that you're not a banker, you're not a millionaire. Yes, most people aren't, and most people remain silent. What would be your key piece of advice to anyone who is caught in one of these situations, is cancelled or vilified online or wherever it may be?
It's definitely fight back. It's definitely reach out for help. I have people reach out for help off me all the time, and I always give them help. Join the Free Speech Union. They were fantastic. They saved me. Um, and it's never apologise unless you know what you said was wrong. We all make mistakes, slip of the tongue. So if if you've made a mistake, just say, well, I didn't mean it like that. I meant it like this. But don't apologise. Don't backtrack what you've said, because the second you apologise, they smell blood and they come after you even harder. So apology does not get rid of the problem. I never apologised. I took down the article, and I'm sorry I did that. I never apologised, and I wouldn't apologise. And I think for people who are silent, the question I will ask them is, how long will you remain silent? So they come for your neighbour, are you still going to be silent? They come for your brother or your sister, are you still going to be silent? When do you stand up and say something? Now, again, I don't want you to be a martyr. I've come up with a phrase, be a ninja, not a whinger. We have too many people who are moaning about the state of affairs in the country, but won't say anything and won't do anything. A lot of them won't even vote because they can't be bothered. So stop being a whinger, be a ninja, which means fight back without anyone knowing you're fighting back. There's things you can do online, share a tweet, have an anonymous account, ask a question at a diversity training at work. There's things you can do without losing your job. That then gives somebody else next year a little bit of courage for them to say something or do something. And if everybody in the country just did a tiny, tiny bit, and you add all that up, that's a tsunami waiting to crash upon the woke and the authoritarians. Doing nothing and being silent isn't an option. It's fight back and fight back sneaky. That's my advice.
Sneaky, indeed.